Now, a lot of people say, oh, there's no real difference between these two guys. There is a philosophical difference, and there's one policy that proves it, which is about how people will get into their first home. Now, we have a scenario where you have the offering of the Labor Party, which is we'll give you 40% to help you get over the line, but we own 40% forever, and if the worth of the joint goes up, you have to give us 40% of the sales price, meaning we get a profit off you, versus the government saying you can get access to part of your super, you can use that for your housing deposit, and guess what? That's it, done. You don't have to pay the government back. What's wrong with what I just said, Stephen?
Oh, my God. Let's just I've got to unpack that. Firstly, Scott Morrison supported state Liberal and Labor governments with this very policy. On this raid your superannuation, let me be clear. This is economic lunacy and illiteracy. Peter Costello must be rolling in his non-grave right now. When Costello became the Treasurer in 1996, he commissioned the Treasury to do a study of what would be the effect. And the Treasury produced the paper. 1997, Peter Costello's Treasury, it came out and said this is a terrible idea. And every few years, the economic illiterates who want to appeal to this sounds superficially so attractive, except it's as simple as this. It's called compound interest. If you raid your superannuation of $50,000 in the early years, usually in your low 20s, you're going to have nothing to live on in your superannuation down the track. It's called compound interest.
If you don't sell your house. But if you do sell your house, it might be worth 1.5. Isn't that the theory? Isn't that the theory?
There's only a small part of it comes back to you. You've lost the compounding effect of having it in your superannuation. That's
the 50 grand becomes 75,
correct.
becomes 100.
It's called compounding interest. It is a simple principle. They used to teach it to kids. CommBank used to turn up with every kid and teach you, put $1 in a week and you're going to have all this money at the end. It's as simple as that. Most people don't follow that as closely. But it has been rejected by a whole bunch of Liberal treasurers, let me be clear, including Scott Morrison. So he's now opposing a policy he supported, and now he's supporting a policy he's opposed.
But of course, when the Commonwealth Bank used to come and do that, interest rates were at 17%, which meant deposit rates meant you probably could turn $1 into a whole lot more. Now, not quite. Michael, I think it's a philosophical difference. I do think, and we can argue that the merits are otherwise, but to me, you are clear examples here about philosophies.
You are 100% correct, and there are very few policies which do separate the two particles on an ideological basis as this does. By the way, Stephen, I couldn't give a toss what Treasury said before the mobile phone was invented.
Yep.
No, did he? Well, okay. Well, let me tell you what the truth of the matter is.
Principle.
Let me tell you, I don't care what he says or the Treasury says or you and your expertise on compound interest.
Or Peter Costello.
The bottom line is this. Scott Morrison believes that your superannuation is owned by you. That's what he thinks. Morrison says you own your money. You say, and the trade unions say, yeah, you own your money, but we're holding it on trust for you for the next 30 or 40 years, and don't you interfere with it. I.e., OK, you're the beneficial owner of it, but we're actually controlling it for you, and you're not allowed to interfere. Listen, stop trying to lecture people on what to do with their assets. You know, if I want to take my money out of super and buy a house, if I'm a kid or whatever, I should be allowed to, not have you dictate to me and tell me I'm a fool because I don't understand compound interest. If people want to do that, it's perfectly their right, and Morrison was 100% correct today. This is part of the government saying it's your money and you have a right to deal with it, Paul.
All right, make it 20 seconds.
If this was such a good policy, why has he waited to the Sunday before the election where he's got 3 days to advertise it? This is absolute.
But you've just announced policies today. You've announced policies today.
Desperate. This is your main. This is a big main policy for you. It's the ideological difference.
Well,
3 days out from the cut-off for the blackout of advertising.
I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you on camera. So let's get to a break, and I'll tell you off camera. Lads, we're going to have a lot of detailed discussions between now and election day, either single on different panels, but obviously, hopefully, back for Panel Palooza on Friday night. So we'll get nerdy then. Thank you, lads.